Many times in college, you will have to give longer answers to questions, especially about things that you read. In this class, you have to answer questions about the book A Long Walk to Water. You will also have to read other articles and answer questions about those. I want you to get your full points when you answer these questions. So let's talk about some important rules. One question students ask is, how much should I write? In my assignments, I will always give you directions. So here it says, your teacher will usually give you directions about how much you need to write. For example, in Study Guide 2, I told you to write 2 to 4 sentences. If you wrote one sentence, you lost some points. Also remember what a sentence is. Every sentence starts with a capital and ends with a period. So if you need 2 sentences, you need to do that 2 times or more. So let's practice a little bit. This student below gave a very short answer. The directions say to use 2 to 4 sentences. Let's help this student add more sentences. So here is the question. Describe Salva's family. I got some answers that look just like this. He has a father, mother, 2 sisters, and 3 brothers. But in the book, it gave you a lot of information about Salva's family. And it also gave you the directions to use 2 to 4 sentences. In this case, I think you should use even more than 2 because we get so much information. So let's help this student. He has a father, mother, 2 sisters, and 3 brothers. We could say his father is a successful judge. His sisters stay home with the mom. The brothers go to school after 10 years old. Okay, now you don't have to have exactly this answer, but something like that. A second part of my directions are to use your own words. I can't tell you how important it is to read my directions so you don't lose points for silly reasons. Okay, so I said in the directions of Study Guide 2 to use your own words. What does that mean? It means you can't copy any sentences exactly from the book, not even one. You have to explain it in your own way. Now, you might have some of the same words in your answer as the book, but you don't say exactly the same thing. So let's practice with that. This student copied the book to make their answer. Help them change it. Question: what happens to Salva at the end of the chapter when he wakes up? Well, if you look at the book, the very last 2 sentences of chapter 2 say, they had left him, he was alone. So we can't say that exactly. How could we say that a little bit different? The people from his village left. So see, you can see here there's still the word left. That's okay. I'm just not copying the sentence exactly. And then he was alone. Is there a different way to say that? We could say, he was by himself. Okay, so now we have two sentences. We didn't copy exactly from the book, and we are following the directions. The next point I want to make about answering questions about your reading is to put no short answers. So maybe you learned how to do short answers like this. Yes, he does. No, she doesn't. Yes, they will. No, we won't. Those are examples of short answers. Short answers are great when you're talking. For example, my husband might say, "Do you like the dinner?" And I would say, "Yes, I do." That's normal for speaking. But short answers are not good when your teacher asks you to write complete sentences. You need to use long answers. Don't say yes or no. Start your answer by repeating a little part of the question. For example, did Salva know any people in the bush with him? Many people said no, but he did. He knew some people from his village. He didn't know them well, but he knew them. Okay, so here the question says, did Salva know? So I'm going to take this part and I'm going to repeat it. Salva knew some people from his village, but he did not know them well. He didn't see any of his family. Okay, so if you were talking to someone, you would say yes or no, but we're not talking, we're writing, so the rules are a little bit different. Let's practice with the next question. Did Salva consider himself a man? Did the rebels consider him a man? Many people wrote an answer like this. Yes, he did, or no, he didn't, or no, they didn't. But we know now that these are short answers, so we are going to start over. Did Salva consider himself a man? Salva considered himself a man. The rebels did not think he was a man. He was only 11. Now you might have a different answer than this, but this is an example of a good answer. There's many different ways to answer. If you are answering correctly and you don't copy from the book exactly, and you write 2 or more sentences. Okay, let's look at our very last rule. What's my last advice to you about answering questions about your reading? Use the grammar you learned in class. The grammar we learn in class is important in your writing. It's not only for grammar quizzes. For example, you've learned in grammar lessons about the present tense. He goes. She sees, right, with S. But I see in many of your answers, Salva go, Naya see. Also, you've learned about good capital letters, but sometimes I don't see them. So let's practice with this one. What happens to Naya in the chapter? She sit down because she have a thorn in her foot. It hurt. Okay, so this is present tense. So I will say she sits down because she has a thorn in her foot. Capital it. And we're using present tense, so I'm going to continue with present tense. It hurts. All right. These are the 4 rules that I want you to apply to your next study guide. Remember to read directions. It will tell you how many sentences, and it will remind you, use your own words. You're also going to remember no short answers. Instead, you're going to repeat a little from the question. And finally, use the grammar. Use the grammar that we have studied in class. All right, if you follow these instructions, I bet you will get a higher score on your next study guide.